There are other things that come along from this also that you look at on it. Illegal immigrants, we're talking about a time where we have stimulus bills. We're trying to stimulate the economy. We're trying to increase consumer spending because that's a major driver of the economy. As illegal immigrants send a large proportion of their earnings outside the United States. So when we take stimulus money, we don't do background checks or verification checks on who we're employing. If the money is going to an illegal alien, a large portion of that money is not put back into the local community. It's sent out to their countries of origin. And for example, in October of 2008, just as everything was starting really crashing down, $2.4 billion was in remittances went out of the United States in just that month alone. In April of 2009, there's $1.7 billion in remittances to Mexico, and in total in $25 billion to Mexico in 2008, according to the Wall Street Journal. So this is one of the areas that if we wanted to help out, we would start using employment verification systems, ensuring that these jobs go to American citizens who will spend the money in the United States. Another thing that is interesting, if you look at where the majority of illegal aliens come from, the top 10 countries of illegal aliens, there's an organization called Transparency International that ranked the countries worldwide on a corruption index. And all of the countries that send illegal aliens to the United States are, with the exception of Korea, which is fair, either have serious or rampant corruption problems. And so what happens is people who are used to operating in a system where corruption is the norm, where dealing with your government entities and things, it's all right, and you have to pay kickbacks or you do things under the table. They come to the United States and we're immediately saying it's all right to use false documents, it's all right to lie on I-9 forms, it's all right to do this. So we're actually importing a culture of corruption, which can bleed over into gangs, into mortgage fraud, into all kinds of serious problems that can come from this. It really weakens the overall respect and upholding of the rule of law. One other thing I found in here, that if you look at it, the leaders, the opinion leaders, a lot of the religious leaders, the civic leaders, when we look at it, we always hear about the noble illegal alien. They're working hard to support their family. If they're being deported, we always hear the hardships that they're facing, and we focus on the perpetrators of the crime, but you never hear about the victim. You never hear about the person, the American child who goes to college and can't get internet because an illegal alien's ruined their credit history. You don't hear about the American citizen whose good name has been ruined because they've got an arrest record attached to their name now because of this identity theft. And so one of the things that we need to look at is, if we do comprehensive immigration reform, is not just look at how we're going to take care of the illegal aliens in the United States, but justice would demand, what are we going to do for the victims? And the way that the comprehensive immigration bills up till now have totally ignored the victims of illegal alien identity theft. So, for example, in the previous bills, they actually had a provision in the bill where if I came in, if I was here illegally, I came in and I had to prove that I'd been working and that I'd lived in the United States for a period of time, and I presented my W-2s or something to the federal government employee that was looking at that, and he can see that I've been using a Social Security number and everything, and how could you have that Social Security number? If the federal employee would turn that Social Security number over to law enforcement or notify the person it belonged to, he was fined $10,000. He would be fined $10,000. It was total protection, and that is amnesty. There's no question that is amnesty, because now you know a crime's been committed and you're waiving the crime. So the illegal alien, the way it's set up now and the way they keep talking comprehensive immigration reform, illegal aliens will be given a total pass, given a new Social Security number, go on, start out, and the American citizen now is left holding the bag and responsible for recovering their identity, and that can cost tens of thousands of, or thousands of dollars at least, and hundreds of hours of work. So if you're going to talk really true comprehensive immigration reform, you got to look at both sides of the equation. You got to look at the victim side, and you got to look at the illegal immigrant side. You cannot sacrifice American citizens simply to regularize illegal aliens, and that's what the program's doing. I'll sum up here and be done in just a second. Just some solutions to this. If we'd really enforce E-Verify, if every employer in the United States would use E-Verify, that would stop 100% of all child identity theft. And it would stop all 100% of Social Security number only identity theft, because you have to have name, date of birth, and Social Security number all matching. Well, if all I'm doing is using somebody else's Social Security number, my name and my date of birth won't match that Social Security number. If I'm using a child's Social Security number, even if I take my grandson's Social Security number, I can pass, he's male, I'm male, name of my, that's all right. Social Security number, that'll probably get by. But when I try to pass for an 8-year-old, somebody, the first place that should stop it is that the employer should say, wait a minute, I can't put that in, you're not 8 years old. And that would stop it right there. If they do submit it, then the system should pick that up, hopefully. So E-Verify would stop all that. We always hear that, well, if we do E-Verify, then everybody's going to go out and they're going to get, they'll just get full identities. It's much harder. I've talked to our Attorney General's office. It is much more difficult to get a complete data set that's gender specific, that's within the age range and all that, than it is to just simply make up a number and attach it to your name. So E-Verify would stop all that Social Security number only identity theft. Another thing that employers could do if they really wanted to help out, they could use the IMAGE program, which is kind of something that we don't talk about too often, but the IMAGE program, ICE works with the employers to help them make sure they're keeping a legal workforce, and it also allows ICE to go in and look at the I-9 forms and to ferret out anything that any false Social Security numbers that they have. They can identify people using fraudulent Social Security numbers on their payroll right now and take steps to stop that. So the other thing that really needs to be done too is that our civic groups, our churches, our law enforcement agencies, everyone need to tell illegal aliens, need to go out to the communities that have a lot of illegal aliens, need to tell them, if you are using fraudulent documents, that is a serious crime. That's a felony. That's not acceptable in the United States. They have a responsibility to do outreach and say, if you're here, you've got to abide the law, and you cannot be committing felonies, document fraud, identity theft, etc. The other thing they need to do, we need to fix the federal identity theft law, and Janice is going to talk about that, I believe. Utah fixed theirs when we found out that Utah's law said you had to knowingly use the data belonging to somebody else. Illegal aliens were getting off saying, I didn't know who that Social Security number belonged to. Utah changed their law to get rid of that and actually put in a clause saying you cannot argue, in your defense, you cannot argue that you didn't know who the number belonged to. That doesn't carry any weight. So they changed the law, and Utah even added in employment as one of the things you use identity theft for, specified that. So, and again, and in summary, at the end of it, I'd just say that I've mentioned before, but on comprehensive immigration reform, we've got to look at the victims. We've got to give the victims rights, not just the perpetrators. Thank you.
Thanks for coming. All of our work is online at cis.org, and have a good day.